evening, televiewers. You're welcome to tonight's edition of Prime Hour, and traditionally Tuesdays editions are dedicated to looking at issues touching on relationship and marriage. This evening we're going to be looking at the wedding process, very big and expensive weddings, asking the question whether it is a necessity or a luxury. Do we actually need to make a big wedding to also show our class and status in life, and how does that contribute in making a marriage successful? If time permits, we also are going to be looking at a second topic. I'm not sure, let me not announce it because we may not go there. We'll just exhaust this with our panelists who are in the house with me, Apostle Valentine and Ngwa. Doctor, I'll take time to
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Good evening. Good evening, my co-panelists of Rinken. Good evening, Cameroonians. It's another good and bright Tuesday for us to discuss issues concerning marriage and the idea of expensive weddings that have become more of a culture in the African continent is coming from. But to the best of my understanding, I believe marriages in the past were not this, how do I put it, expensive as we have today, because our parents told us stories of how if you loved a girl in the village in those days, you make your intentions known to the girl's parents. I think you would take a bottle of palm oil and a bunch of plantain to their compound, and the bride price is paid. And then from that primitive society, we knew that marriage was one of the easiest things you could easily step into as a young man growing up. That's the reason why young guys in our villages in those days at the age of 18, 20, 22 were already married. At the age of 30, you see a young man having 2 or 3 wives. You begin to get surprised, how can a young man of such a very tender age have up to 3 to 4 wives? Because wives were not difficult to get by in those days, and the process to achieve or have a woman was not difficult. But today, it looks like with the advent of civilization, things are getting more complicated, and I believe this thing we are copying here is not an African ideology. It's a copy and paste ideology from the Western world, because if you look at it critically, our traditional marriages, which was the original identity of marriage in Africa, did not have all these kind of luxurious presentations. But you discover that white wedding, which came from outside, had all this glamour and this splendor that they came along with it. So the expensive nature of marriage was introduced when we adopted white wedding as a way of marriage in.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about wedding in this case, we have civil wedding, we have traditional wedding. If you also want to look at the trend now, what we had in traditional weddings yesterday is not what we have today.
Of course.
In the early 2000s, or even in the mid 90s, early 2000s, the people used to rent canopies for traditional marriage.
Yeah, it goes with that. So traditional weddings are not kept out of what we are saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That if we want to link it to marriages in the West, we'll be missing out on something which is very serious and capital. In that, our society is getting into a phase where mindset is in control on so many things, and which is normal. But when you look at, in those days, traditional marriage had to do with an evening session where the two families met, they shared the things they ought to share.
In a kitchen setting.
In a kitchen setting, you know, by the fireside. Some kind of, very traditional things are done, the rites are performed, the ceremony is very natural and African in its nature. But now, the way traditional marriage, let's keep white wedding aside.
Okay.
The way traditional marriages are becoming very luxurious in Africa and in Cameroon in particular. Now they have copied the idea of shady girls from Nigeria and brought to Cameroon. In those days, we used not to have maid of honor during traditional marriage, but we're having it now. In those days, it used to just be something within, in a parlor or in a kitchen setting, as we've said. But now, traditional marriages go with canopies, decorated, and all the stuff we have out here. So this has to do with the fact that my own view towards weddings is, if you have gotten to a point where your means can permit you. When you talk about means here, don't borrow. Don't put people under pressure. Don't organize a program based on promises.
Look at an average Cameroonian.
Yes.
Can an average Cameroonian actually afford to live in a decent home, living a decent life, to the point of being able to throw a lavish wedding party?
It has to do with the individuals. Not everyone has the same source of income, and not everyone has the same idea in generating income. There are individuals that by the grace of God they have been helped to attain certain heights financially. Others also have their connection which they generate income. My challenge is this competitive nature that is in some men or some women. That we are friends doesn't make us have the same sort of income. That we come from the same family, that we are colleagues who work in the same office doesn't make us have the same sort of income. You may be a friend of mine and I happen to fall in the hand of a rich man who wants a kind of luxurious wedding. And you can equally be a friend of mine and you are getting married to somebody who is an average individual. Please make sure you approach your situation based on your financial status. Don't compete with people. I think the reason for all this borrowing here and there, entering into debt, is because we are competitive in nature. A friend will want to see a friend's wedding and want us to be the same, not knowing that they don't have the same capacity of men. Probably the man you are getting married to does not have the capacity like the one your friend got married to. Secondly, not everybody equally who has money likes to lavish it carelessly, because sometimes that wedding itself, at the end of the day, bowls for 200 and passes for 500. So you realize that all those things they gather on that wedding day, and then they say give. Somebody will buy you glass for 1,000 francs and then put it in a carton and parcel it for 1,500 francs. The debt is more of value than the gift they are bringing. So it tells you that sometimes people are just there to hypnotize and then to, let me just use this word, to satisfy you that they brought something to you. That's why in our church, I always tell people that, please, if you have anything to give this people as a gift, put it as cash. They will need that money more than. As a matter of fact, don't buy, because you may be buying what somebody else has already bought. So you end up in the day, you have 16 parcels of spoon from four different persons. You have 4 pots from 4 different persons. You have 10 glasses from 10 different persons. Which, if that money was brought to you, would have been able to know what to buy after the wedding. So I advise that parcel everything you have in an envelope, put it as cash and give to this guy. They will know what to buy after that. It's like when I want to go to the orphanage, I don't just buy rice. I go there and ask them what they have and what they don't have. They will not tell me this is the things we have. Some people just buy rice and go and add to rice. Buy oil and go and add to oil. Buy Maggi and go and add to Maggi. Where there's soya bean that is needed, probably there is drug, and some children have not paid their school fees. So I go there and make inquiry. So to me, people can better use money after wedding than the gift you buy and bring along.
Now, I've had some persons writing to me that they know 4 cases of persons who organize very big weddings, and after that they lead for 10 years struggling to catch up because of the money that you may borrow to engage
it for the wedding, because they have this challenge or this excuse or the other for not being part of your wedding. Now there are some people who say, no, I work and I earn a salary and I can take a loan. Please, as much as possible, avoid contracting a loan to sponsor your marital process. The reasons are enormous. 1, what happens if you lost your job just immediately after the marriage? 2, what about a case where you, after you get married, there are situations that come up which demand a lot of finances, and then at the level of the bank, they are cutting your salary to service the loan, and then you still have this financial pressure. Your marriage may come crumbling at the early part of it because of financial difficulties if you get involved in borrowing in order to sponsor your marriage. I always say that you don't just get up in the morning and think that you have to get married today. It's something you plan, and the plan is supposed to be a long-term plan, a medium-term plan, if you want to put it. It could be a medium-term plan. You can say, okay, today I am 27 and I want to get married at 30. If you are smart, you say, okay, every month I'm going to save 15,000 francs. You are doing it, and you discipline yourself and keep the funds in an account that you won't touch. As you keep building on this, fund, it will come a time now where you get into your marital process. You can say, okay, let me fulfill the traditional formalities, and then you give a break, maybe 6 months or thereabout, and then you fulfill the rest of the formalities. Don't marry as if somebody is chasing you with a snake that wants to bite you. Don't marry as if there is a house on fire. Make sure you go gradually, go at your pace. You see,
The wedding in your palms. You could touch the splendor of the wedding, the atmosphere. But weeks or months later, there was a breakup. The misconception people have is that they think that event on that day can determine the ensuing activities in that family as the days go by. Is an absolute error of monumental proportion. This should get you very well positioned when you're going to get married. We've seen very simple marriages that ended up being very successful. We've equally seen powerful weddings. On that day, the class, the dignity, the decorum, the prestige, the pride. I mean, the choreography and all the presentation was extraordinary. A clear example is the case of a woman called Jonita Bynum, who got married to Joseph Weeks. Bishop Joseph Weeks is a third generation bishop. I mean, it was at the, how do they call this hall in the USA? Wall Street. That hall itself is something else. The first time I saw a cake, you needed to climb stairs to cut that cake. Only for them, there were almost about 14 different people that dressed like couples to accompany the couple in the hall. Then talk less of children that dressed like couple to, I mean, it was a royal wedding. But where did it end? It ended in a fiasco. They separated and nowhere to be found till date. They are not reconciled.
Because people came, ate, drank, everything looked so good. Even when the guy is grumbling inside himself, or the lady. Yes. No. Is that not also a camouflage that people think it is successful when the guys themselves are dying inside?
That is what I said. Mindset is dealing with us. A very hard blow on us, the mindset. Now, this must be very clear to our viewers and to everyone. The high point of every wedding or every marital ceremony is when the couple is exchanging their vows, is when the authority, be it traditional, civil, or religious, is proclaiming blessings upon the couple. That is the high point of every wedding. Every other thing else is a detail. The march past, the dance, and all the other things, those are just details. Those are just ornaments. They are just to color the city. One is the guy borrowed money and then did the wedding and had a bill that his bill was supposed to be paid. When they were still in their honeymoon, creditors already came harassing the guy. Creditors already came and were claiming the funds that he owed them. So there is no reason to put yourself under pressure. A marriage that they take to the altar on a Sunday during a normal church service and bless normally is not less of a marriage than the one which there was a lot of fanfare. Secondly, at the level of the traditional marriages, which, as I said, there is a lot of, there is a lot of extravagance that is being brought into it. The marriage that two families meet and then discuss at the level of their home and just make things very low-key is not also less successful, or is not less important than a marriage where they rented canopies and decorated the canopies and made a lot of this fanfare. If we don't get back to all of these realities, we will have young people who are supposed to get married and they will be under pressure because they don't have the amount of money that they have to use in making all of this fanfare. If you can be able to satisfy the demands of your family-in-law, my brother, you are good to go. All these other things, it depends on you and your spouse. It depends on how you people also present yourselves to the families. If you come to the family and you want to play a big guy, they will require many things from you. Okay. The family is going to make you feel that there must be a very big ceremony, and at the end of the day, you are under pressure for something that should have been simple. Why complicate something that can be simple?
Greetings to the great minds on board, Mr. Leo. This is a very serious and educational topic because I know a colleague who is a teacher and made his marriage for 9 million francs, 80% of the resource from loan. And behold, Mr. Leo, this colleague of...
Because when you look at some of these weddings, to be very honest with you, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but you see that most of these very expensive weddings, they don't last. That's why I'm saying that I don't know if it's a coincidence or it's actually the truth that sometimes these people are carried by that particular day, the wedding. I can tell you about 3, 4, 5, how many weddings we've known. I mean, just cake is 1 million plus. You see cars rented, 1 million plus. You see the bride changes like 3 to 4 times. I mean, after the wedding gown, she changes, then change again and change like 3 or 4 times. I mean, to the level where even the bridesmaids equally change. We've attended weddings like that, like it's come and see, talk of town. Like they'll tell you that my wedding will be the talk of the town. Okay, now when your wedding is the talk of the town, we don't know for how long they're going to talk about it. I think that's not even our interest. The interest is not to talk about it. Let people not only talk about it and say, hey, did you see that wedding was come and see? Let people not only talk about it, and then later on again they start gossiping about the fact that you two are not still together. We've seen weddings that it is not because somebody cannot afford such weddings. Even if they give me that kind of money now that I should do a wedding again, I'm not sure I'm going to do any kind of exorbitant kind of celebrations. I will do something very moderate and then think of the life ahead, because this is where most couples failed. Like you see that they invest all that money into the wedding, and just weeks, months, I mean some even go as far as loaning. They go into loans, borrow that money, come and invest it, then later on now they have to pay, and it becomes a heavy burden on them. People came and ate, they drank, they got drunk, they even wash hands with champagne, yes. Then you go back and start having burdens to pay loans that you could have managed and had something still very good, but small.
But small, thank you very much, Mrs. Sanji Yvette, coming in there from Bamenda. When you see somebody who is close to some of the wedding planners in Bamenda, when you hear this man from San Melima says a colleague invested 9 million francs CFA, this, when you look at what you do for, you use the money for decoration, maybe decor, you may spend a million francs. Are these not projects already that you should start engaging in?
I like the word investment that was used there.
Yes, because this invest.
Mr. Leo, there is no businessman that invests in a project he will not reap in return or make profit. That was a blind investment, because I do not think you'll be investing to entertain people. You invest to feed people. You invest to earn a name, a prestigious name, when at the end of the day you will not reap anything in return. That's foolishness. And most people sometimes look at weddings as a platform which they can generate income. Please, if you need to make money, buy cocoa and sell. That's investment. If you want to make money, plant cassava and sell. You'll make money. If you want to make money, open a plantation. You'll never see wedding as a means of generating income. A few persons may have tried and they succeeded. Know very well that you should be able to understand your company, except you have a kind of company of men, you know that you guys know how to help each other, and you use such platforms as a means of showing off. But I think you should not even use wedding as a platform of generating income. That's the first thing. Secondly, the second thing about wedding is that nobody cares after the wedding is over. People will celebrate you on that day, embrace you on that day, dance with you that day. Once they depart from that place, they are waiting for the next celebration, which is born house. They will ask you, have your wife put to bed? Is there a possibility you can come again and eat again and celebrate? Because they are not coming there to invest anything. That amount of money you are investing in a wedding, provided you kept that money and did something just simple, and then you took that money and invested in a business, you will realize that you can make more money and sustain your family and build a more successful family than organize a successful wedding. Please, we are still repeating, successful weddings do not guarantee successful family or successful marriages. Okay. This is one thing you must learn, and learn it over and over. Don't ever, as a matter of fact, if you want to know how much a woman loves you, begin to calculate the kind of wedding she's asking. Okay. Take this from my mouth. There are girls that will put you under pressure to organize wedding, knowing fully well that you cannot meet up. That's a sign that she's not going the same destination with you. I was so blessed a wedding in my church, and the girl said they have not bought white gown. I called the bar and said, this, they are asking white gown on the wedding day. They will ask you car after this. So if you know what is good for you, make a decision now. And that's how the wedding ended.
Okay. I hope because people saw a high-class marriage compared to the person you are competing with. And now the born house is coming. You need to put up with that. And then the subsequent events, you need to, because that's the standard you're setting for yourself.
Sure. There is a philosophy I hold, Mr. Leo. Remaining is more difficult than becoming.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever you become in life, sustaining that status is what really matters a lot. If you make a very big wedding, people expect not only to see that you live at a certain level as far as your living standard is concerned. In fact, we expect that that high level wedding should be translated into marital bliss. That is what is going to interest people. How long does a wedding take? So a few hours, and then people are gone, people are dispersed. You now begin the journey. If you stay back now with your wife, and then the next time they saw that you people were driven to the wedding ground that day in a limousine, you people came out, your shoes costed 250,000, your suit was, whatever. In fact, you people left the place, went and changed in your hotel room, were driven to the reception room by chariots. This is the, that's the recent standard that people judge the buoyancy of the wedding. If you're driven to your in a chariot and stuff, people expect to see that thereafter. Be driving in a big jeep and pass, not that you'll be stopping a bike to climb. You say climb, then let me climb behind you, Bashe. So all of these things put together have to do with, if you don't also identify the circle of friends that you work with and make sure you are in that circle as somebody who is a best fit, a good team member, you will be under pressure from people who have their means, and then you begin to do things in the way that are going to drive you to your early grave. Most often, there are people who get into these flamboyant weddings because of their circle of friends. What if you say, hey, you want to do a simple blessing? I know one laugh here. A simple blessing. No, they make you feel guilty for taking a right decision. Because for you to take a decision of doing
that's the only day you wed only once.
Yeah, that's the kind of mindset. They want to give you conscience talk to feel that, in fact, if you don't make the day to be so
I'm investing 20 million to do this flamboyant. What is the guarantee that this marriage will even survive a year or two? And if you invest this much, and after 1 year, this lady says, I'm walking out, or the guy says, I'm walking out, how do you reconcile the expenditure?
No, Mr. Even if the marriage were to survive, you cannot spend on 1 day and then the rest of the days you're barely patching life. Even if the marriage were going to survive, because we will not also judge the wrongness, if I thought there's an English word like that, the wrongness of that decision based on the fact that the marriage is going to come crumbling. The marriage may survive, yes, but the issue is, if the marriage now is okay, and then you people live as tenants, 7 years in marriage, 8 years, 10 years in marriage, you are still tenants, of which you used colossal sums on the wedding day so that you can impress people. What sense does that make? It makes absolutely no sense economically. What we are encouraging people to do is that if you think you have much money to spend on that day, be sure the stream of income that brought you the funds that you're going to use on that day is going to continue coming in. If you're a big businessman whose daily income is in the neighborhoods of 500,000 and stuff, and you use 5 million to do your wedding, well, who cares? The issue is, after that, make sure there is no misery that comes knocking at your door because you took a wrong economic decision by spending lavishly for a wedding, or by borrowing to spend on a ceremony that is just a few hours. It's a few hours ceremony, for crying out loud. So, well, Madam Asanji says something. We are not to do everything you can as a wife to be or as a husband to be, to see that you people economize and do things within your reach in order to have at least some reserve that will permit you to live. And if life permits, Madam as you said, you can do some anniversaries to celebrate and bring people together and stuff. When you are still beginning, life is so uncertain. You don't know what turns out. You don't know how things are going to be. You don't know whether after that you have, maybe after the marriage there is a health situation that crops up that will need that you spend, you know, monthly. You don't know whether there's going to be a situation that comes up that two of you are going to be under perpetual kind of financial stress. So if you try to forestall these uncertainties by doing the necessary, and the necessary in this case that we are advising is try the best you can to keep things low key, to keep things, in fact, at the barest minimum. Don't spend too much on a wedding ceremony, because the wedding ceremony is not a determining factor for a blissful marriage. That's what we're saying.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. So many persons are indicating that they are watching us from different parts of the nation. I'll read some of them right now before we continue with you, Dr. Apostle and Valentine Ngwa. Mohammed Figu is watching from Yaoundé. Good evening to you. Julius Bangwa Abinkeng is watching from Chang. Numfo Caroline watching from Sang Milima. Juliet Fokwe, expensive weddings are luxury and at times extravagant to me, especially when you have to borrow hugely out of your ability. Juliet is writing from Loom. Gontran Dobila is watching from Bamenda Mai 3. Brian Photo watching from Dutch. Talking.
Any picture you give to people, that's what they will take. If you show them to be a big man, they will ascertain to be a big man. And if you start doing something small as a big man, they will start questioning your integrity and your credibility. So do not sell in public what you will not maintain. What you can't maintain, don't sell in public. You can't come on air if you're unable to speak in English. You tell people that you are an intellectual. Tomorrow they will place a demand on what you claim to be. And tomorrow when you are unable to meet up, it becomes an insult. It is good people know you for who you are. They will accept you for who you are. They will embrace you for who you are, and they will celebrate you for who you are. We have persons in Cameroon who are stars, and they appeared on different media platforms as who they are. They appeared as comedians, they appeared as people who did not go to school. We have celebrated and accepted them as who they are. Don't be an imposter trying to impress people, trying to appear to be something that you are not. Stop being a counterfeit of your original self. You are born an original, you cannot die a counterfeit. It is important for people to know who you are. When they know who you are, it's very important. All this flamboyant, pompous attitude we try to impress people tomorrow that we cannot maintain, it becomes a problem. If you're going to organize a very sumptuous wedding, then be prepared to always live a life tomorrow that people will say, okay, from his wedding we can know the way he's living. Not that you organize a wedding tomorrow, they are coming for naming ceremony of your child, you're unable to feed people, you're unable to do what you did in your wedding, then you are an imposter. You are trying to act in to be something that you are presenting yourself to be something that you are not. So please, it's important for you to always make sure your original identity is presented to people. Don't be a counterfeit of yourself, because you will end up tomorrow being humiliated, mocked, and embarrassed by the simple we are struggling to impress. I think one of the problems we have on earth today is that people are struggling to impress people. On social media, we try to impress people, we dress to impress people, we speak to impress people, we do things to impress people. If you are living your life on impressing people, then you don't have a life of your own. You want to hear what people say about you. As a matter of fact, I give a damn. I don't care what people say about me. I've been on the media platform many years and I've been who I am. I don't twist words, I don't banter words, I don't go left. Face in the morning, that was in the makeup, you will not be able to identify it. I watch videos where they will show individuals' faces like a baboon. By the time they are done making the person up, you think that the person is a princess. And this is how everything today is counterfeit. You're unable to lay hands on originality. You're unable to lay hands on what is real. And that's exactly how many persons live. Somebody say everyone is rich online. until you meet them offline. Meet them online, they are well dressed. Meet them online, they are okay. Meet them online, they are standing close to expensive vehicles. Meet them online, they are abroad because of background. Only go offline and realize that they are not the real persons. I mean, that is exactly what we are trying to do today. The idea of trying to impress people, the idea of trying to win the attention of people, and what people will say concerning you. Listen, the crowd can be singing your praise while you have already been disqualified. So the issue is we are trying to look at who is thanking us or appreciating us. I have a little problem today with people who believe that I will do things to impress them. If you get angry, you get frustrated, you get disappointed. If I offend you, I will apologize. But if I'm doing something that you are not comfortable and you think I will rush after you to convince you to believe in me, you are making a mistake. I should be able to place myself first before thinking of placing any other person. I should be able to convince myself first. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth. Stop acting to be something that you are not. And this is the age where I have never seen a very competitive age as this age we are into. This age where it has even, I said, do I eat watermelon to satisfy my system or to impress the state? My system needs fruit. I will not eat. I won't eat watermelon to fill the gap in my system. I should be eating watermelon to impress the state. Who is the state? That means I should be going and try to impress Cameroon. And exactly the way people live their life today in the society. Somebody is dying slowly by trying to impress the society.
Yes, they're dancing.
They are dancing, smiling and suffering. Smiling and suffering.
Yeah, but
even see individuals go and rent buildings that they cannot meet up.
Yeah, but away from the standard we set for ourselves, do we also know that we are calling on more testifiers? That makes it even more difficult when the time of divorce comes, because you are calling everybody to say, I love this man till the end of the day, and when it is time to either quit the house, you start thinking about the crowd that came chanting, giving all the advice, all of this. The more they say, to him more is given. Yes.
The honest
those are some of the implications we see. We don't sit and reason about bringing so many persons to stand as, because that is they are coming to stand as witness to the wedding.
I used to say that when if you, she now wants to make her wedding to be more than the other person in order to prove a point that I left you like that and I got into better hands.
Of course.
You are under pressure to prove to somebody that you left the person and went into a better relationship. What sense does it make at the end of the day? No sense at all. No sense absolutely. Because what justifies everything is the end of it. The Bible even says that the end of a thing matters more than its beginning. You can begin on a very high gear. Make sure you maintain that velocity. Make sure you maintain that stamina. Make sure you maintain that same substance till the end of the relationship. Don't start off on a point, on a note that you will not be able to play it through to the end. Marriages are not things that you should use as a toy to play, to toy with your emotions, to toy with psychology, to toy with the mental faculties of people. It is a very serious thing. In the plan of God, marriage was created to solve a lot of issues within or in every generation. The family is a key factor in the plan of God for every generation. So when we get to a point where we are using it as if it is a toy for us to joke with, we joke with it as we want to test the waters, we want to test whether how somebody is going to react to the fact that our own marriage was more glorious. We are joking with fire without knowing. God, who is the author of marriage, wants that people should marry, stay well, live marriage well, and wait for the return of Jesus Christ. That is the essence. If we keep doing this thing we're doing in today's society, we'll keep having the rate of divorce, because sometimes when the financial pressure becomes too much on the couple, conflict will step in. And when they cannot manage the conflict, what will come in? Separation and divorce will be the natural outcome of such a relationship, of which if you kept things low-key, go gradually and build the necessary steam and stamina, your relationship is going to grow through the process and mature to that level of stability which you can enjoy marital bliss. But when you now get up to a point where you are under financial pressure, the man is looking at how he can go. At times, your husband...
Set, expensive, and luxury wedding are not a necessity. After all, I have a family to take care of, not to impress people. Thank you, people, for the program. Listen, Esther says, I'm really enjoying the program, sir, watching from Banga. Is so white, Jordan says, watching from Douala Bonaberi. Ndimba Nifru says, watching from Yaoundé, so educative, sir. Thank you. Mark Big Six, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm watching from Limbeng. Kengason Juliana says, watching from Kumba. More grace to you guys, thank you. We see Bless says, watching from Ka. I don't know whether it's Noni. Kumba Kake says, I'm watching from Kake Kumba. Yes. Tala Verunui says, watching from Ghana. Very good topic, thank you. Sambridge says, I'm watching from Gaundere. Gwente 62 says, I'm watching from Kumba. Elvis Su, I'm watching from Douala Wiba. Louis says, Yaoundé. Song Emmanuel Samori. Ndiwum Emmanuel is watching from Douala, Cameroon. Enter the place Kolo says, watching from Balinyunga. 5 on 5. Tata Emmanuel Njong says, I'm watching from Gabon. Mugo Sonia says, I'm watching from Yaoundé, and more strength to you. All in the studio for the interesting program. Thank you. Emmanuel Mbu says, I'm watching from Chang West region of Cameroon. Tata Emmanuel Njong says, okay. Lukong NS says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Kum, I'm enjoying the program from Betoa. Fonyo Yvette says, watching the program from Kumbu, enjoying the program. Good evening to all of you watching us from Kumbu, the land of the Salt Warriors. UK Tabi Emmanuel watching from Kwakwa. Mba Judith says, watching from Bafusam. Joy Kia says, good evening, Mr. Leo, watching from Loom. Mohammed, okay, sure. We have been watched from across the regions. Keep them coming. Apostle Ambi Valentine Ngwa, doctor, does this also scare people from getting married? That is, you see a girl who would look for the guy that can do a dream wedding, and then you see persons are also waiting. A guy is not getting married because he attended the friend's wedding, the second friend's wedding, and he's hoping for that day when he's also going to have money to get married and pull that crowd, and may end up not getting married. Same for the lady.
Yes, Mr. Lou, a lot of persons are afraid to get married for many reasons. The man who has never worn a suit, for the very first time he's going to wear a suit. Then how do you dress now the bridal train and the groomsmen? How do you dress this hall that you are going to organize a wedding in? How do you? So once you mention wedding, in their mind already is so much money.
You need a big DJ, you need this.
Now, that's the reason why some people are not even married till now, because the process of reaching to wedding is what the challenge is. They are afraid. Somebody will tell you that I'm unable to even take care of myself. And then I'm going to ask somebody shy and then organize a wedding added to it. That thing brings fear already, which has affected the rate of marriages in our society today. And it has limited the way young men dare into the institution of marriage. It has even actually, some of us, if not because of the call we have and the courage we had to step into this thing called marriage, the mindset we had was that if you're organizing marriage or wedding, you must be a very rich man. You must. It is for the rich, as a matter of fact. It's not for people who are poor or broke individuals who loiter around the society. No. There are people who are financially viable and they are competent enough to handle issues like that. So the very thought of a wedding has punctured the desire for young men to get married. That is it. Now this accord, the next thing that we recognize is a state, civil state registry. After that, both of you can kneel down there, a pastor or a priest bless the two of you, as simple as ABC. This event called wedding is us who fabricated it, and it has been one of the major problems that is affecting a lot of couples today, because biblically, traditionally, legally, wedding does not add or reduce anything to marriage. It doesn't. Wedding adds nothing, it reduces nothing to marriage. It doesn't stop you from giving birth to children, it doesn't stop you from getting money tomorrow prosperous. It can only help to make people satisfied. As a matter of fact, wedding is more to satisfy those who are coming than you, who is even going there to get married. Because on the day of your wedding, sometimes you never even have time to eat.
They keep saying that it's your day, it's your day.
It's your day. What day? What day? What day? So most people sometimes that notion, that wedding everything, no, you can successfully be married without wedding. And if you have a woman who doesn't seem to understand you and insists that there must be an elaborate wedding before the marriage can be considered marriage, please be very careful. A seed has been planted. If she's demanding an elaborate wedding, she will ask for a car one day where you don't have it. Especially when she knows that you are not financially viable enough. A woman should be able to understand you very well and take you the way you are and accept.
I was at the Bonaberry Council to sign my marriage 15 years ago on the 12th of September.
Okay.
We were 7 of us. My wife and I had 2 witnesses, my 2 witnesses, and somebody who was there to snap photos. That is all that there was. We were 7 of us, finished from there, just shared a drink in the neighborhood and dispersed. The issue of Apostle, this is my, their photos will testify. 7 of us, my wife and I, had 2 witnesses, my 2 witnesses, and somebody snap photos. That was all.
Something similar to what I did in Boya.
15 years ago.
I went and saw Mayor Musoko. The time was Belamuki was mayor. I saw him and expressed myself to him, and I called my elder brother and somebody for my wife, and we just hired it. We hired a taxi. The day I signed at the Boya Council, we took a taxi.
A taxi took me to the
we went to the council and we signed the thing. Came back and maybe I called a few colleagues with whom and we drank, and that was it.
So when you see people, they say they must. You see, this is what people do during the traditional marriage. The family, the family stitches a ashwabi.
Yes.
They stitches a uniform. During the civil wedding, they stitch a uniform.
Yes.
Then during the civil, they stitch a uniform.
No, Reverend, in traditional wedding, we wear afritude. In the court, we wear suit and the woman wears suit. In the church, the man wears suit and the woman wears gown.
Going back to what Mr. Leo, going back to what Mr. Leo said, we can attribute part of the blame to the family, but to a very limited extent, because we say when people are getting married, everybody else is coming in to suggest, not to prescribe to them. When you are getting married, you are supposed to be level-headed enough to be able to look in your future and be projecting and be seeing exactly what are the stakes ahead of you. You cannot be getting married and you want that everything they should tell you go left, go right, go left, and go right. And most of the time, those who this issue of show has entered into them, even if you tell them and you blow the thing into their ear, they will not still hear. So it is important that for you, before you get married, you should into a journey that you don't even know, you know nothing about, because you've never been married before. You know nothing about because you are engaging into a relationship with somebody you don't know. At times there are some people, they start showing you a joker when you have gotten married to them. Before marriage, they are there trying to be very humble. They are trying to show you all forms of humility and being very friendly and stuff. But when you finally get married to them, the lion or the lioness in them begin to spring forth, and you're like, where am I? All of these things are the uncertainties which you are supposed to be preparing for psychologically, emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, and what have you. If you don't do this, you'll be taken unawares. Family members can do only the most they can do by telling you, go this way, go this way. At times, there are some couples who will tell them off, say, it's my money, let me do my wedding. It's my wife. It's a day that's unique in my life. I will never have it again. And when you start hearing such kind of grammar from people, you will talk to them to whatever level you can talk to them. Nobody will hear you. You even become the third person singular in their engagement, because you are trying to bring a kind of piece of counsel which is going to be to their advantage. So essentially, before you get married, make sure you have, in fact, there is a fallback, because there is uncertainty. I think that is the bottom line of what we are saying as far as the issue of wanting to make it to be in pomp and style is concerned.
Okay, I'll take some few messages, then we continue. I mean, Riser says I'm watching from Boya, but I'm not enjoying it because most of the channels are not talking. Okay, too bad for you. You can watch a rebroadcast of this program tomorrow on My Media Prime TV at 1 p.m. Sam Rich says I'm watching from Gaundere. Okay. Princess Estelle Light will not allow me watch this program. Don Brandon says can't watch online. Rita Nafisatu says I'm watching from Bamenda. Love Kington Cynthia watching from Douala Komgang. Usman Saleh says I'm watching from Muyuka. Kecha Greg says I'm watching live from Tiku. Ayuk Promise says good evening Mr. Leo watching from Boya. Phonecam Constance says good evening Mr. Leo. Constance watching from Old Town Bamenda. Thumbs up to you guys. Okay. Nko Belinda says watching from Abakwa. Ndekwa Fitz, good evening Mr. Leo, very powerful program watching from Bafusam.
But at the end of the day, people don't even enjoy what you've spent on. Why? Because there was poor organization. There was poor management. The same way somebody can spend, somebody can have just very small money, but with good and proper management, you can come and enjoy a very simple and classic wedding. Now, I know that when we talk about big weddings like this, one can quickly think of scammers. I mean, you see scammers, they can do their worst. If you want to attend weddings of scammers, you might think that your life is just a waste here on this earth. Scammers, first of all, they don't work the money, so they can spend it the way they want. So if I talk about luxurious weddings, I don't want to even put scammers into it because those are not, sometimes I don't want to even consider them as human beings. Their own kind of things, their own kind of ways are not normal. Mr. Leo, I cancel a couple here. That kind of couple, you know what I'm saying? And they will tell you that they went for a vacation for 3.6 million. I mean, a vacation that they went and met 2 days, 3 days, and they spent 3.6 million. When you hear some of these kind of things during counseling, you know, you already know where these people fall. So I don't even want to talk about scammers because scammers, they don't know the pains of working money, so that's why they can spend it the way they want to spend. But I want to look at it from a normal human being like you and I. Why should somebody do a wedding and make it so flamboyant? Sometimes it could be competition. My friend married. Somebody like me, I did not have bridesmaids. I didn't just see need for it. So you can choose to have a wedding and maybe have 20 bridesmaids. I mean, just for them to dance into the hall is a problem. They take about 1 hour to dance into the hall. And you can still do your wedding very simple. At the end of the day, it is not that beauty, celebrations, and all of those things that matters. It is the blessings of God that the pastor has blessed or the priest has blessed you and declared you husband and wife. I mean, that is all in all this thing we call wedding. The most important part of it is just that the pastor blessing you and declaring you husband and wife before the world. So spending a lot, except okay, let me say that if a couple is spending say 10 million for a wedding, then I should be hoping that they have at least 50 million as savings. Because if they are saving that money when they have loaned it, that's even the worst. That's just the worst. You loan money that you come back. Mr. Leo, it will amaze you to know that sometimes some of these weddings, 2 weeks later on, photographer is
made me call off the marriages. The so-called women wanted us to make an extraordinary wedding so that people would talk about it. I'm a teacher. How much do I earn? When am I going to build a house if I succumb to devilish plans? Okay, this is what he is saying. And we still have some time to talk about this. But let us situate these grandiose weddings, extravagant weddings, in the plan of God. We are all Christians. Does it make God smile better? See us, these are my children in whom I'm well pleased. They are feeding, they are not selfish. Some people say.
Mr. Leo. The question I wanted to ask you first and foremost that who introduced the idea of wedding? Is it actually
the wedding party or the wedding? Because wedding is
the wedding.
Okay.
The wedding party.
Yes.
Who introduced it? Because I don't think that thing came from God. Yes, the main man, the groom man, and then you have all these, I mean, these structures put in place to make the wedding grandiose. Where did we get this idea from? That is where the problem is coming from. And now some people have held onto it as if it's a scriptural command. As a matter of fact, some people believe if you don't wear the white gown, you will not pew on the day of the wedding.
God did not smile.
God did not smile on you because you never wedded. You must wear that gown, and that gown talks of purity. Many wear that gown when they are pregnant on that wedding day. Some wear that gown when they just slept with a man that they are getting married to the same night on the eve. So you realize that this thing is purely a human idea introduced and then presented like a biblical truth that many people have bought it from a biblical point of view. And now some people are forcing it to be practiced as if it is scripture. Because if you trace it from scriptures, you will not see anywhere in the Bible where these so-called elaborate weddings were conducted. And I think it's important for us to educate our people. You heard the brother crying there as a teacher. How will he, what is his salary? How does he go about that? Is to incur debts.
He says he's not even regretting it, and he's opted not to get married.
Not to get, that's his decision, because maybe I will advise him to think twice, because he might have met the wrong people on his path. There is a woman that will accept you for who you are and then want to stay with you and will accept any condition of marriage that you will bring. Traditional, court, somebody blesses you, simple. Make it very simple, because it is not how poor a wedding was or how rich it was that determines it. So we are not saying that elaborate wedding cannot lead to good marriages. We are not saying that. Don't misinterpret us. We are just saying that stop putting yourself under unnecessary pressure because you want to please the public and you want to convince me that you did an elaborate wedding. Made life very complicated. Our wives could accept us when we're broke because they took him from where there was nothing. Today a girl is born in a house where almost everything is provided for. Then she wants to get married to somebody who is still managing life, and you want the man to treat her the way the father was treating her. Your husband is not your father. Please. And once you are moving to someone's house, learn to adapt to the new situation. There are ladies who were bathing with tangi when they were in secondary school, boarding schools in those days. You are not in a man's house, you cannot even drink common time. You were using it to bathe, now you can't even drink it. Then you want to press that man to go. Your father and your husband do not have the same opportunity in life. Okay. Maybe you will have it in the near future.
Let me take some messages. Good evening, Mr. Leo. More grace to you and your wonderful guests for addressing such an important topic. I wish that you should consider it necessary to be discussing about skin bleaching, its negative consequences on your show. Skin bleaching is so rampant nowadays and with serious health challenges. Titus Akuru writing there, hello, good evening, Mr. Leo. It's from Ban Carson watching from Bamenda. I love the program. It's very educative. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks. Very important topic like this. Expensive wedding these days do not even last for long, so we should learn to be careful with how exposed our families. Prince Mafai Herbert Chita writing from Bona Musa de Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo. To all the great minds in the big weddings are part of a luxurious lifestyle. I got married 2 years back, court and traditional. The court wedding had as invitees just my elder sister and my dad, plus my husband's 2 siblings, and then our witnesses. After the wedding, I spent 2 weeks apologizing to my friends for not inviting them. But to be honest, I knew what I was doing. Mr. Kum, even if I were to be given the money, I won't go around inviting people unnecessarily and making unnecessary luxurious plannings. I and my husband prefer throwing a moderate celebration for our wedding anniversary and not spending unnecessary on a wedding and feeding people who at the end of the day will still complain that the rice was salty and Maggi was short. Okay? That's a wise one. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Tonight I love the topic of today, not just because it's so sensitive, but because it makes me feel like I'm in the studio sharing similar experience with you guys. On the 16th of December 2017, I also used my taxi to go sign my wedding at the Yaoundé 7th Council with my wife, and on the 27th of December, which was a Sunday service, we were blessed, and today we are happily married. So when someone tells me he don't have money to celebrate a wedding, I consider it nonsense. Theodore Mengot writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo and all in the studio. The program is very interesting. It's actually helping me. I'm about to do my traditional marriage, okay? My dear brothers and sisters, what a great program. Some Cameroonians are greedy, selfish, and have lost their sense of reasoning. My friend's daughter's traditional and court marriage is coming in a few days ahead. Do you know that the so-called Ashrabi girls have imposed a bridal dress inspired the cries from the university students that they don't have money? That dress is imposed on all the girls. I've tried to ask, since when has court marriage known to have a bridal train just to show off? Okay, so
that's higher heights.
No, we are waiting for lockdown that will have bridal train. We are seeing all kinds.
Yes, but how do we get away from this? Because this is unnecessary pressure when you look at the budget. If at this level of the court we are talking about a bridal train, it means that at the other levels we are going to have. Yes, why do we put ourselves under such pressure? To impress who, or to show that we are more civilized than who? Even the guys in the West, do they do this?
Mr. Leo, this has to do with a change in mindset. To wear on that day in order to impress people, and the people you are impressing, their eyes are on you to make sure that you are also they are also impressed with a good married life that you are going to live. So if we don't change this mindset, we'll be moving in circles and be saying these things over and over and coming and be talking this, we are talking on television. Many of us have decided that we will not concentrate on the things that matter. It doesn't make sense if you pay more attention to the bodywork of a car than its engine.
Of course.
The bodywork will be a monument, it will remain in one place. But what will take the car from one place to the other and pass through stormy areas is the inner part of the car, which is the engine and the related accessories like the four-wheel and the other things, which are the marriage-related issues that we are supposed to focus on, and not on these ornamental issues of wedding and wedding left, right, and center. All of these things are, in fact, is it that we are getting too prone to food, or do we think that if people have a wedding in church, maybe this is something that just came to my mind, if we have a very hectic wedding with page boys, flower girls, and bridal train, and then do the reception, there's no food, are we going to take, will people take this with a pinch of salt? So it means that at the end of it all, there is this desire for food that is really overtaking this marriage or this wedding kind of thing we're talking about. For me, as a society, let's revisit the ingredients. The ingredients of marriage is the married life and not the wedding ceremony. If we can go back to this and face all the truths and tell ourselves these truths, we will be able to move away from this thing that is penalizing us. Many people are running away from the marital institution based on this thing we're talking about. Many marriages are being stressed up based on it. Many people are delaying their marital process based on it. So why should we then leave the substance and we're chasing shadows? It doesn't make sense. Not at all.
Okay, it doesn't make sense. Should we start teaching about some of these things at a very tender age?
Yes, Mr. Leo. I think we need to educate people because I believe much of this is
what they learn, what they see.
Yes, a result of ignorance, what they are introduced to. Platform or an investment to generate income. You will commit suicide at the end. You will commit suicide at the end of the day. Because people sometimes believe that there's a crowd coming somewhere that will bring the money you are looking for. They even tell that they're going to do an MC that will move on the pocket of people. Say, guy, so if you want MC this marrying tomorrow, so make sure you move money, put in your pocket during the cutting of the cake. There that guy says putting on Yves Saint Laurent shirt, tuxedo suit, John Barton, this and that, and then the guy will come there with all that prestige and come and drop 500 to cut the cake. Before they assemble everything that they have cut the cake is 17,000, and you're expecting at least 1 million francs. So marriage is not an investment. If you want to do business, marriage is not a business platform for you to invest into. Invest in something credible and tangible that you can make profit at the end. Never think that tomorrow you will turn up and begin to make some money. A few persons might have done that and succeeded. Not everybody. Majority of persons who think that they will get return during their marriage end up being frustrated. So please, we need to educate people, and you must understand that one must not organize an elaborate wedding to be considered married. You must not.
Okay. For Dairu Nzinjo says, Chai, Mr. Liu, I can't imagine how you guys at the studio made yours. Let our people learn some sense. It's a life journey and the only school where they issue your certificate before you start classes. Let nobody pressure you. Dairu is watching from Boya. Vades Nero says, I'm watching from Hebron, Kentucky. Shafi Augustine says, I'm watching from Kumbu Kitiwum. Manka Odet says, Ndokpasi Dwala Tuaziem, great job, thank you. Ngala Evelyn Bongbimi, my #1 fan, says, I'm watching from Yaoundé. Keep up the good work, thank you very much. Eureka Eric says, I'm reading the post and comments and enjoying from my farm. Okay. For William Emilian says, watching from Kumba. Man Solange says, good evening, Mr. Liu, watching from Bafusam. Okay, Solange Asili. Heavens Kalinbong says, I'm watching from Bamenda. Angela C says, good evening, watching from Limbe. More grace and Christmas greetings to you all. Thank you. Hasabit Titi says, I'm watching live from Yaoundé. Honorine Lokende says, I'm watching live from Kumba. Nzwabet Ronik says, good evening, Mr. Liu, I'm watching from Chang. Biliacha Raphael says, good evening, Mr. Liu, watching from Boya. Tumi Emmanuel Tumi says, very, very educative topic. Mr. Liu, your panelists are excellent. Live from Street 7, great support in Boya. Tabong NSA, I'm watching from Kumbo. For Kevin says, I'm watching live from Bamenda. Eriku Digam says, watching from the city of Guneko. Okay, that's in Momo Division. Von Fung says, greetings, Mr. Kum, thank you and your panelists for talking on this topic. It's very educative. Akiambong Calvin Dong says,
copy order from this studio. It's a wonderful book. God bless you.
I also have my copy already, so we need to pray. Times are very tough.
Yes.
You see, I trekked from my house yesterday to the office. There's no fuel. Before leaving my house today, there was no light. And maybe I will go to the house, they maybe know what time. So
we need to pray.
We have to pray.
And Reverend Ken has given so many prayer topics in this book.
We have to pray.
We pray for so many things, so please get a copy. I have mine already.
I know this
goes just for 2,500 francs, I'm sure.
This is the end of year. We need to pray our way through this year.
And sail through 2024.
2024, yes. Okay, so we should pray. Don't just relax and tomorrow you want to fast for 40 days. Pray, start praying today. We thank you all for watching the program. And if you missed or you joined late, take the rendezvous tomorrow, 1 p.m. on My Media Prime TV. There's going to be a rebroadcast of this edition, or you rush to our Facebook page, BT Media page. You're going to watch it there on our Facebook page, and you go to BT Media page on YouTube. Also, you're going to have this program there so that you can watch and rewatch. Also, share with persons who may not have been opportune to watch this edition of the program, especially those who are planning to